Happy Monday and welcome to another episode of WBAG's Off the Bench, presented to you as always by the good folks over at Buffalo Lanes in Mebane. That's 103 South 5th Street. Make sure you stop in. They've got 18 bowling lanes. They've got a full arcade, 10 duck pin lanes for the younger members of your herd, and the in-house restaurant, the Pig Pin's, going to make sure you head home with a full belly as well. Once again, that's Buffalo Lanes Family Entertainment in Mebane, 103 South 5th Street. Stop in, tell them WBAG sent you. It's Monday, folks, and as you know, that means it's time once again to get off the bench here with WBAG Sports. We've got a very special guest joining us today. Sticking with our fall sports theme, we're going to preview the Western Alamance soccer season. Head coach Camden Brooks sat down with me, the four-time state champion, talked about the success that he's had while at Western and how he's continued to build on that success, along with a preview of the upcoming men's soccer season here in the fall. It's going to be a fun conversation. You're not going to want to miss it, folks. It's time to get off the bench.
It's time to get off the bench with WBAG Sports, Alamance County's premier sports coverage since 1947.
All right, joining us today, coming off the bench with me, a very, very special guest. He's led his former school to 4 state championships in total now. His boys' team has lost 1 game in the last 2 years. His girls' team has lost 2 games since 2023. He's now the head coach for the West team in the girls' East-West All-Star game this season and just announced the 2026 North Carolina Male Coach of the Year. The list could go on and on, but we've got to get to Coach Brooks. He is Coach Camden Brooks, head coach of both boys and girls Western Alamance soccer teams. Coach, first of all, congratulations on all of your accolades and your success. Thank you so much for joining us. How's things over at Western?
It's awesome, and I want to say thank you so much for having us. Yeah, it's been incredible. I have a lot of passion for Western Alamance. I went to Western Alamance and I played there, had a great experience. And when I had the opportunity to come back and get back to those guys and the girls now, it's something that really means a lot to me. It's really special.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, before we get into Western, let's talk a little bit about the East-West All-Star game that I just mentioned. What exactly is that, and what does it mean to you to be selected as a coach for that, and how much has it added to your summer plate? I know you've got to get ready for a boys season as well.
Yeah, the East-West All-Star Game is a historic event. It's been going on for a long, long time. I want to say like 50, 60 years. It's been a long time. The North Carolina Coaches Association selects coaches for it every year. So the game is coming up in about a week. And as soon as the game ends, they make the phone calls to pick the next people. So I remember watching the game last year, and I remember getting a phone call, I think the next day, asking if I was available for it. But yeah, it's a huge honor to be in it. You get to coach the best kids from the East and the West in North Carolina. It's a long process. It takes several months of nominations from coaches all over the state. And then you have to start making phone calls and texts, and you got to watch film of kids because you want to make sure that you select the right kids for it. We have a girl, Allison Thomas, that I'm lucky enough to be able to bring with us. Had a good senior this year, so it's a great year for me to be able to coach it. But I'm honored to be in it and to be a part of it. And I've watched it for so many years. And I remember it was a massive thing when I was in high school. And if you got to play in it, you were like the man, and it's so cool to be able to coach these kids now. And all of these kids are going to go off to go play Division I, Division II, high level soccer. So it's a great way to cap off the end of the summer for me, along with, the workouts for the boys and all that stuff.
Right now, as a coach, how much time do you get to spend once the player selections are done and the teams are formed? How much practice time do you guys actually get together, or is it more just kind of we'll see you on the 21st?
Yeah, so the 19th, a Sunday, I think, is the check-in. So we check in Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, there's a big banquet with all the sports and coaches and players. Monday, we have 2 practices. So there's a morning and an afternoon session. And then Tuesday, I think there's a morning session. Then Tuesday night you play. So you get 3 sessions with the kids. I think they're about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. It's going to be hot. Really that first session, you're figuring out who are your main kids. You're trying to figure out a lineup, things like that. And then you're trying to implement, like, I would like to have a style of play and kind of give them some blips of what I like to see in games. So that we're not just throwing good players out there and say, hey, just go showcase what you can do. It is a mix of that, but also to me, like, I want to win, and I know the girls want to win. So, trying to balance all that out.
Find a way to build some sort of quick chemistry there, and like you say, implement the style of play you want that you can. And if it goes well, I would assume that bodes well for their career further down the line, being able to quickly adapt to a system they may or may not be familiar with and make it work in a short span of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing to touch on, especially when the kids come in. Is like, hey, you're about to go into college where you don't know any of these kids, or you might know one or two of them, but you're quickly thrown into a pot and you have to figure it out real quick. So you got to be able to be friendly with people right off the bat. You got to listen to new coaches. You got to be ready to adapt, to all the new things. So that's a great way to put it.
All right, so Coach, let's recap before we go into what's coming this year. Let's recap a little bit about last season. Both girls and boys, obviously a boys state championship, got all the way there with the girls team. What are some positive takeaways that you can continue to build on this year? Obviously, there's a lot of things that you're doing right, but what are some of those highlights that you see? Oh, okay, well, let's make sure we add this year. Or let's make sure we continue to develop and get on this. What are some of those takeaways you took from both girls and boys last year?
I tell the kids now every year that we've seen success, I feel it's easier to build off of that. A lot of coaches don't get that kind of success for a long time, and the players don't get to see that kind of success for a long time. So the fact that we've had it consecutively for a few years now, I find it easier for buy-in. Kids know, hey, this is the formula, and if we follow this, it's not going to work out every time, but it's going to give us a good shot. And then along the way, you just start to add more and more things. For me, my coaching style is, if people didn't know me on the field, they would say I'm like the most laid back dude. Like a lot of people are like, I can't believe you get onto these kids the way you do, because I just don't see it in you. And it's just, it's a mix of, over the years, I figured out when I first started coaching, and I was a young coach right out of college, I thought I had to be almost this like tyrant, right? Because you almost overcompensate because you're worried that these kids aren't going to respect you because you're close to their age. You're wondering if they think you know what you're talking about. So you have it your way. And there's not a lot of conversation. It's like, guys, we're doing it this way. I've seen over the years, I have just gotten a whole lot more out of it being a partnership. If you ask anyone within the programs, it's not like a Coach Brooks at the top of the totem pole and then everyone's way underneath. It's not like that at all. I feel we are most successful when we have leaders, captains that are able to take a step back and understand it's not about them. It's not about their performance, but it's about the team and what it takes to be successful. So a lot of it's relying on the kind of kids that we have every year. And what I'm happy to see is that we've had great leaders on the boys and girls side recently, to where these incoming freshmen who are super talented, and I know they're going to be in that role in 3-4 years, they have those leaders that they can look up to. Because I'm getting to that point now where I'm like, I'm coach. Like it's difficult for people to look up to people as they get older sometimes. Like they can relate to a lot more about a older brother of one of their friends or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they get a lot out of the captains. And so we have a lot of those conversations over the years with my leaders about what we need to see, and what it takes for them to be successful. And they're like floor generals for me. Like they can spit out exactly what I need on the field. When crap hits the fan, they're able to sort it out, and it's not just me saying what needs to be done. It's a collection of me and 3 or 4 other voices, which is just, that's how it happens.
So kind of staying on that topic there, the opposite side of the coin, when you are so successful both on the boys and girls games there, is it tough at all to be almost hypercritical when you're trying to find some nitpicks, to think of things to develop, or how do you go about that process as well?
It's not hard for me to be hypercritical. I mean, it's very easy for me to sit and watch film and break apart every little bit. And the kids will tell you, like, we are film crazy. We watch a lot of film. I think it's different on the boys and girls side. Boys, take it a little differently, so I can chew into them, and we can sit and watch film for an hour, and I can get after those guys. And the girls, I've just found, it's not that they can't take it, but it's just not as beneficial sometimes. The way that you interact with them is just a little different. So I am critical for them, but it's just funny, like on the boys side, every single game, I'm like, guys, this just wasn't good enough, and it does get difficult because like you're winning you're winning a lot of games. And it gets to the point where you're like, hey, we won conference. And the kids aren't even excited sometimes because it's like, well, yeah, we should win conference. Like, it's just what we do now. And so we do have to take a step back, and I do have to let them know, like, guys, you've accomplished a lot. And I did that a lot during the girls' season because, they hear all these things like we're such a good team. We have a lot of good players, and we did it last year. Like, it's just going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it's a failure. And it didn't happen this year. We got up to the semifinals and we fell short. So that's heartbreaking, but the kids need to understand, like, they've accomplished a lot. They've accomplished another conference title, 3 in a row, I think, for them. And they haven't lost a regular season game in 3 years. Like, just incredible things. And it just feels like they go from one accolade to the next to the next. And it is important, like, they're kids. They need to be patted on the back and let them know, hey, you've done a really good job and I'm proud of you.
Right. Now, in that same realm, how difficult is it from both the boys and girls perspective to get the kids to listen when you say, coach, that's just not good enough? Because obviously they are high school kids. They think a little differently, and they're at the same time aware of, like you said, well, we just won 4-0. We're haven't lost yet, but this still isn't good enough. How do you get them to kind of buy into that?
I think it's just year after year, just being consistent. We can't lower the expectations depending on the kids that we have. Like, I had these expectations when I first started 5-6 years ago. It is a lot of, like, it does take buy-in from the kids. And like I said, it's just about being consistent. And like, the older kids have to lay that groundwork down for the younger kids. And if they hear them whining about something, like, they get onto them. And the older kids understand, like, every single year, boys and girls side, both of them, the goal is a state title every single year. And like, we are more than capable of that. Western has great athletes coming through every single year. And I tell everyone, every year we lose so many kids. And everyone's like, man, it's going to be tough next year. It's not. Like, we know the right things to do, and we make it work. And the kids are fully bought in. And it's just gotten to that point where it's there. And I think, so like, for an example, we played Graham this year, and I think we mercy ruled Graham the first time. We played Graham the second time at our place, and it was probably like a 4-0. And we had the ball the whole time, but they were bunkered down and made it hard for us. And I was frustrated. I'd have a lot of words after the game. Like, I was really frustrated. And it's easy for the kids to walk away like, coach, man, we won 4-0. Like, they sat back and they just didn't give us a whole lot of chances. But that's not good enough. And when we woke up and did 6 a.m. running the next day. And I coached club ball with a lot of kids in the area. And like, they heard that story. And like, everyone else in the conference hears that story. And I think that benefits us, Like, I think the kids enjoy going and telling their friends, like, man, we're this good that we're winning games and we are punished the next day. And it does take a while to build up to that, but I've just been here long enough, and they just know the expectations.
Right. That kind of touches on where I want to go to next. Obviously, as a graduate of Western, someone who played there, the success you're having, and on paper, it looks like the roster's set up to continue to have on both girls and boys side. How did the establishment of what is now becoming a soccer powerhouse at Western Alamance, especially when you came in at such a young age, how was it? How difficult was it? How did you go about laying the foundation of the culture that you've described so well now? Is this always been you, or did you kind of have to play with some different styles, if you will?
So I would say the situations I came into for both the teams were, not talking badly about other coaches or anything like that, but I came into situations where I think the teams were ready for something new. So I came in on the boys' side. It was the year right after COVID. It was the year where kids had to wear the masks to play. And it was a condensed season. And we came in and we beat like some really good teams in a short, like 10-game season. And the kids all were like, hey, this is fun. Like, I felt being young actually helped because I could relate to the kids a lot. And I just came out of playing in college. So like, they know, like, I just saw what it took in college to be successful. And I've been coached by really good coaches ever since I was a little kid in club and in high school and college and all that. So I was confident in my ability to do it. It then just becomes about the buy-in from the kids. And it's different for different people. It's different in different sports. Football, for example, is different. You got to come in and you got to be like, it's regimen. It's this way and it's got to be this way, or there's no leeway, right? In soccer, I've just found it's a little different. Like I'm comfortable pulling a kid off to the side and putting my arm around a kid and being like, buddy, like I don't need to chew that kid out in front of everyone, unless it's just necessary. Like it can wait, and I can take them off to the side, and I'm not going to belittle them. I think I get more out of that. And I think after doing that kind of thing for years, the kids understand what they're getting. Like all the kids coming up as freshmen, they know me. They know the kids that have came through Western. They know how successful Western's been. So it's there now. So I don't have to work on the buy-in. My first year, you're always worried about that stuff. And I was worried about being the young coach and like, did they even think I know what I'm talking about? And it was just like, I just had to reason with them, man. I had to pull them off to the side a lot and have a lot of conversations. That was where I started working on that whole, like, the leaders matter a lot and the captains matter. And I have to have a lot of conversations with those guys because I have to get a feel of the vibe from the team. Like if things are going well, if they like what's going on, if they don't like what's going on, and it needs to be addressed. So it's just been years of doing that and just kind of laying the groundwork from there.
And now you've talked a little bit in some other answers about your off the field approach to both the girls and the boys. You may be a little quicker to chew the boys out, a little quicker to kind of talk it out with the girls per se. Now, from an X and O standpoint, I've always wondered how you're coaching or how someone in your situation goes about that. What's the difference between your approach to girls and boys soccer from an X and O standpoint, or is there a difference?
Yeah. I try to read a lot about that because there's so much writing about it. Especially like in the youth side of soccer, like club coaches will coach boys and girls. It's not weird to cross over that. So, like I've learned so much from coaching both of them though. Like there's a lot of people that only stick on the boys side or only the girls side. X's and O's wise, it all works the same with them, honestly. They say that girls actually have a little better tactical understanding of things. So like if I sit down and work it out with them, on paper, they should figure it out a little bit faster. It's just different. Like it depends on the kids you have in the like if I were to come into a new team and it was a guys team, if they don't buy in 100% to what we try to do, it's not going to work super well because guys, sometimes they're a little more cocky and they feel like, yeah, well, coach, I just want to try to do this. Whereas girls don't do that, like ever. We've had incredible girls come through Western and they are like a yes, sir. And they just listen and they're like, yep, I'm going to do that. So it's a little easier buy-in from girls, I would say, just across the board. But tactically, man, they both get it. And we do some pretty complicated stuff at Western. Like people ask questions all the time. It's not like a football where like we are drawing up plays, obviously, but it is a whole lot of kids have to understand their roles because it is an ongoing game. I don't get to talk to them for another 40 minutes once that game starts. So if they don't understand their roles, it's going to be a cluster. It's going to be bad because I can't just scream my head off for 40 minutes at every single kid. It's just not beneficial. So we, on both sides, sit down and we talk those roles out. If you're an outside back and you receive the ball in this position, what are my options? When that kid gets the ball, who should be helping out? Like it's a lot of teaching early on.
That's interesting. That's something I never really thought about. It's every other sport. You have the offense comes off the field, defense goes. You got a timeout in basketball. You've got a inning change in baseball or softball. But you're right. You've got go out there and then I'll see you in 40 minutes. So I can only imagine that amplifies and even adds more importance to the film sessions you guys do have or the conversation. So where did that, from a coaching perspective, in your view, how much more importance does that add on those extra days or those extra sessions of watching film or the summertime session like this where it is a good time for you to develop those fundamentals in your training? How important is that time of year to you?
Yeah, it's so important. It's what makes us good. Like we have talented kids come through. There's talented kids all over the state. There's a lot of talented kids and teams here in Alamance County, like really, really good teams. I think what sets us apart is the time we take to go over those roles and to watch the film. Our season breakdown is like when we're in summer workouts, we are working on conditioning, we're doing weightlifting, we are working on those fundamentals. We're not doing team-based stuff yet. I'm not implementing any kind of like styles of play. We're not talking positions. We're not doing any of that. We do a lot of like, we're going to let you guys play a lot, and we see, we pick up on different things throughout the summer of kind of where people may belong and things like that. Over the summer, I'm looking at who we have, and I'm thinking about like what kind of formation we want to run and who is going to look good in what positions. It's not copy and paste. We have changed every season what we do. Like formations matter a lot in soccer. The way you set up, are you doing like 4 in the back, 3 in the back, 5, whatever, matters on who you have. And so it's got to change if you want to be successful. And we're trying to just adjust with what we have. I think over the past few seasons, both teams, we've done, like I said, some complicated things. That only grows them as a player. Like we've had people like alternating positions throughout matches, like in the run of play. And so they understand the role of a defender. They understand the role of a midfielder, a forward. They take that with them in the club ball. They take that with them in the college. They bring that with them next year. So we really just try to train them, and like they have to learn. It is a lot of teaching. And if you can have a stud athlete, but if it doesn't click up top, they're only going to go so far. Like they have to have an understanding. It's what the elite athletes do,
Yeah. All right. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense. I like that. I was going to ask a little bit more about your summer schedule there, but that makes a lot of sense. It's more so when you say that, are you talking kind of, it's more of all right, let's go live for this workout session, and you and your staff are sitting around brainstorming based on what you're seeing going live, or is it like a circuit of drills type of practice?
Yeah, we've alternated over the years. So this year we're a little more heavy on the conditioning and the weightlifting. When I first started, I was big on the conditioning and weightlifting. And then we went away from it. In the past few years, we've done a lot of like the technical work. So it is kind of like drills, like you said. Like we're working on right foot, left foot, trapping the ball in the air, like your basic fundamentals. We tell the kids, you're getting 500 touches of practice with us, literally, because it is just like partner up. We're doing these very basic, simple little drills. And we've seen a lot from that. Like, I just need the kid to be the best soccer player possible by August 1st. That's all I need. I don't need the understanding yet, because then we get those 2 weeks of preseason. In those 2 weeks, like we're not burning them out. We've killed you over the summer so that I know your body can hang now. These 2 weeks are like, you got to put the thinking cap on, and you got to listen in a classroom, and you got to watch film from last year, and you've got to learn like our style of play. But yeah, the summer workouts this summer are a lot of, we're always starting with some kind of like Monday, Wednesday, Friday's weight room for about 45 minutes. And then we move over to the practice field, and we just let them play. Like a lot of coaches do different stuff. We're not doing the fundamental technical work as much as we are. Like I want them to run around and play. And there's so much writing about what is most beneficial for the kids, and it's up in the air, but you got to let them play. You got to roll the ball out, and you got to let it be live. It's not football where we got to hit each other and pads on and all that stuff. We can play and they're not going to get hurt. So, I mean, we do that a lot.
Well, speaking of letting them play, Coach, as we sit today, you're officially 1 month away from your first game this fall. We're less than 20 days away from the official kickoff of the fall sports season. So what you've talked about the schedule there, what is the vibe around Western Alamance soccer going into this fall season? Now, obviously, like you said, the goal is a state championship. You want to repeat. How's everyone feeling about the optimism that is that goal?
I feel good. I feel good about the way the kids feel. As I said, once you have that success, it's not easy to feel it again, but they're 2-time state champions back to back, and they won another one a few years before that. So there's been a lot of success, and a lot of these kids on the team right now had a lot to do with last year's win. And there's a lot of kids on the team that had to do with 2 years ago win. So, it's growing the kids that are coming up and getting the belief in them. But I would say the vibes are good. The kids are really, really excited to get after it. I know it's tough like we go Monday through Friday. That's tough to do all summer. Like it's hot, and we work them very, very hard. We do that so that when the season starts, and like, man, we get to play a real game now. Like they're chomping at the bit for it. So they're ready to run through a wall. We have a really, really tough competitive non-conference schedule. I don't think we play anyone that's a 5A. We're playing 6, 7, 8A schools, all non-conference. So that when we hit conference play, we are some animals and we're ready to get after it.
Coach, you lost 7 seniors from your team last year. To some, that might be a big number. To others, it might not be that big. But as you mentioned, you've got a lot of guys who were underclassmen last year with a lot of big game experience. Your leading scorer, Grant Backus, is coming back. He played in all 29 games. You've got 2 other rising juniors that also played in all 29 games. So not as much from a play on the field perspective. I know we kind of know what we're going to get from those guys or what to expect, but more from a leadership role off the field as they absorb that upperclassman status themselves. How have you noticed during the summer those returners kind of stepping into that leadership role off the field as well as on it?
Yeah, I've been proud of the way they step up. One in particular, Camden Oliveira, he's been a staple for us. He's been a 4-year starter at center back, and as a freshman, that's a tough role. You know, those are bigger dudes normally, and you got to play against the best kid, the other team striker most of the time. So he's seen it for 3 years, going into his 4th year, like what it takes. And he's been the guy reaching out to people outside of our group message. And he's been individually talking to people about like, hey man, like we need you out here for these summer workouts. It needs to be consistent. If we do the right things, we're going to do it again. And now it's up to, you know, it's difficult in the summer because people are in and out all the time. Like I can't fault the kids for going on vacation. We've had some of those upperclassmen that have just been away. So Cam has been the one I've been relying on big time. But I know all the rest of them. I mean, Grant has been at everything, and he's a phenom soccer player. And so even as a junior, he's going to be a leader on this team. Frankie Maya was a big part of the team last year, going to be a senior this year. Elio Anguiano. There's a lot of guys that were growing into those roles last year, and now they got to be put in the fire, and they got to be ready for that.
I'm glad you said those names for me. Those were the guys I was talking about, but I figured you'd be better off to pronounce those names than me try to upset a bunch of mamas and do it myself.
Right.
Now, coming into this season, Coach, how much pressure if any, do you and your team feel to maintain the level of success you guys have had? Obviously, we talked about the returners, and on paper, it doesn't seem like things should be that difficult to achieve a relative amount of success. I'm not going to guarantee a three-peat state championship, but on paper, you guys are going to be really, really good. But we don't play soccer on paper. We don't play any sports on paper. So how much pressure do you guys feel to maintain that success? And from you as a coach, how do you alleviate that stress or that pressure from some of your players?
Yeah, it's corny, but it has to be one game at a time. We can't overlook anybody. These non-conference matchups, it is a dogfight every game, and I'm not going to have to light the boys up for them. When conference hits, there's some lighter games. And the way that we respond in those games, it matters a lot. It's a lot of like having to talk the boys up. We haven't hit a wall in a while, and we've been very successful and we're very talented. We're going to hit a wall. Like it's going to happen. No team goes unscathed. So if we drop one of these games along the way, I'll know what kind of team we have by the way that the kids respond to that. And I have a lot to do with that, sure, but the kids have a whole lot to do as well. I can want it as badly as possible. Every coach in the world will tell you that. But if we don't have the right kids for it, it's just not going to happen. And it is going to affect their season. So you don't really know genuinely how that confidence is until something like that happens. And we can work on it along the way, and I can get them excited. And if we get one of these big wins in these non-conferences, I think they can ride that a while throughout the season. But yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it in the boys and girls. I've seen it with other teams where, and I also have these conversations with the parents before the season starts, because like you said, on paper, we can look great. Mm-hmm. It's not great for someone to go home, a player to go home, and their parent tell them like, yeah, but it's so-and-so, like it should have happened. Like you guys should have beaten that team. I get that. I love high expectations, but also like parents have a big role in this too. Like on the girls' side, very talented, but we were going game to game to game. And I just felt like the kids weren't impressed with what they were doing. The girls weren't the parents were like, this is expected. And I love that that's where we're at. But sometimes people need to be realistic, and they need to pat kids on the back and say, hey man, good job, and you guys are going to keep it rolling. So that stuff matters. It is a collective effort. Like I have conversations with parents and kids and everybody. It is a full team effort. It's not just me or the players.
Coach, this has been fantastic. I want to wrap up touching on a little bit about the conference. You talked about when you get into conference play, it may be some of those lighter games versus the competition in the or the higher classifications that you're playing in your non-conference schedule. But going into year 2 now of everyone in Alamance County being back in the same conference, I talk about it a lot with football coaches, with basketball coaches, things like that. On the soccer pitch, how does that help add some fuel to the fire to what may or may not be the most competitive matchup, but it is a cross-county rivalry and a conference game nonetheless?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great that all of the local teams in Alamance County are playing each other. I think it's cool that we're in a conference together. I think it does add a lot because these kids know each other. All of these kids are playing club together. So they see each other in the off season and they get to talk crap to each other depending on how the game goes. So it is a lot of, personal stuff. And it's cool to see just the community compete against each other, and like for bragging rights, like I want to beat the guy down the road, right? Like it matters a little bit more than some of these like far away non-conference matches where I'm not going to see that team again. I'm not going to see their coach or their kids again. But if we drop a game to Williams, Jeremy Christ is going to let me hear about it, their coach. So like it's fun and it makes it competitive and it brings that kind of personal side to it. But I love it. I think it's great that all the local teams are playing against each other.
Awesome. Well, once again, Coach, this has been fantastic. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And again, congratulations on the Coach of the Year award. I believe that's 2 for you now, back to back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on being selected by your peers to coach in the East-West All-Star Game. Good luck with that game coming up. Good luck to you going forward in the fall season. And then we'll talk again before the spring as well, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Coach.